Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, fantastic. Back on Personal Pension Radio. Thank you always for your support. I really do appreciate all the feedback. I love the downloads. I mean, thousands and thousands of downloads every month. It's amazing. I can't believe my mom and my sister can download the podcast that much. So, jumping right in, you did hear the intro right. I am the income engineer. I have a passion for retirement income design. If you're selling a business, you've got to have an income strategy. If you're retiring from a job, you've got to have an income strategy. How will you sustain your lifestyle? And lifestyle is driven by income. You've got to have an income strategy. Most advisors today have been educated by that same Wall Street machine that taught me the messaging that works best for Wall Street. CPAs, attorneys, bankers, insurance professionals, the list goes on. They're all influenced and touched by this message that Wall Street pitches when it comes to retirement planning. And that is that the answer to everything is invest more money. Invest more money. And my mission is to pull back the curtain, to give you a peek under the kimono, if you will, of the Wall Street retirement income plan and what's missing. There's some seriously incomplete, inaccurate stuff in there when it comes to retirement income planning. And my goal is to get you excited about asking the question to your financial advisor, or better yet, sending me an email to Kraig with a K at kraigstrom.com and asking me. I would love to look at your personal situation and help you figure out if you're on track for the income and the lifestyle that you hope for. And if you're not, how can you tweak the plan? How can you adjust your current course to get you on track? Areas that I can help with is always a big question. Folks are, well, you focus on retirement income. What else can you help with? It's an awesome question. And I want to remind everybody that because I am a 21-year veteran, 21 years in financial planning and financial services, I can help in so many different areas. I am not only a paralegal at a great law firm, I'm also a certified financial planner professional, which means that I can help take folks through the basics of estate planning, living trusts, wills, powers of attorney. I can help through my team of awesome lawyers. I can help with very advanced business planning and succession planning and legacy and charitable planning. I also can get into IRA planning, individual retirement accounts, Roth accounts, 401ks, rollovers. Man, if you've got an old 401k that you've never rolled over and you've always wondered what to do with it, wait till you hear the next episode coming up after this one. Ooh, self-directed retirement accounts. I can help with that. These are so many different things. There are so many different things out there for a truly experienced financial planner. The answer is yes, I can help with that. Am I an expert at everything? No, definitely not. I have a phenomenal team and resources around me that can cover everything from investment discussions all the way through life insurance, long-term care planning and disability insurance, retirement and pension planning. All of that comes under my umbrella, if you will. Now, quick disclosure, just to be official, I am not an attorney. I am not a certified public accountant. I am, as you heard me say a moment ago, a certified financial planner professional, but as qualified as I may sound on this microphone and coming out of your earbuds on your iPhone or your Android, please don't act on things that you hear on my show as if you're hearing advice for your specific situation. And especially, please don't act on things that you hear from financial entertainers like Dave Ramsey. I mean, you'll hear me talk about Dave Ramsey here in just a little bit, this idea, but it's more just this broad generalization of financial entertainers, people who are not licensed, who are not regulated, who are not really trained to be financial planners, and there they are, just giving out First Amendment free advice to anybody who turns on the radio. Please do yourself a favor. Meet with a qualified, hopefully certified financial planner who follows a code of ethics, integrity, objectivity, must meet a level of competence, must have fairness in the way that they deliver their advice, confidentiality, and of course, professionalism. When you find that in a licensed, certified financial planner professional, that's when you know you can start getting ready to take some action on things that you hear, things that are designed for your specific situation. Now, before I get into the follow-up on the last episode, I want to give a shout-out to listener Scott in Lynchburg, Virginia. Scott actually wrote in, gave me some feedback on last week's episode on mortgage and paying cash or 15-year mortgages versus 30-year mortgages. And I thought I would just read it because there is a question in here, and I thought it would give you a taste for the conversation on the last episode, so you might want to go back and listen to that as well. And Scott writes this: since the new tax law came out, the new, easy to understand, not so complicated tax law. Yeah, right. Ask a CPA how easy and uncomplicated that new tax law was during tax season this last time. Anyway, Scott goes on to say, since the new tax law came out, and the first $24,000 is a free deduction, basically just a free line item deduction, people like us are better off doing that than gathering up all of the other miscellaneous deductions out there, because it's just a waste of time to do your itemized deductions, is what he's saying, right? And when it barely exceeds $24,000, that you get all that hard work and it really doesn't make any sense. So Scott says, at the recommendation of my CPA, he took $190,000 in cash and paid off the 30-year mortgage. Now, one reason was the mortgage interest of about $7,500 a year was not going to help as a deduction, and putting the $190,000 in the stock market is not going to get a 7% because of the volatility. The key is that nobody can guarantee a return in the stock market, whether it's Dave Ramsey, you, or anybody else. And I'll pause and say, totally agree with you, Scott. Anybody who guarantees anything as far as stock market type stuff, that's definitely witchcraft. You got to run away from that. Scott goes on to say, the return has to be there consistently to make all of these predictions come to pass. Please let me know if I'm missing something. I am considering investing in mortgage notes where they are backed by real estate with fixed interest rates and a steady stream of income, or you take the property if the income stops. So this is mortgage notes where you become the bank and you're lending money out that is secured by real estate. Got that? And then he finishes by saying, love your podcast, though. Enjoyed listening to all of them. Awesome. I really appreciate that, Scott. Now, here's what I will take. I'll go ahead and answer kind of two things that I noticed in here. Number one, at the recommendation of the CPA, right? So just to be blunt, CPAs are all about taxes. They're not necessarily the best financial planners. They really are not, because $190,000 in your bank account, or let's just say in a money market account, $190,000 in a money market account could earn today as much as 2%. 2%. I mean, it's not phenomenal, but 2%. And you get a $7,500 interest deduction, which is a little bit off your ordinary income taxes. It's a little bit, maybe. Okay, fine. But $190,000 in first trust deeds, right? Investing in mortgages, well, those will pay anywhere from 7 to 10%, depending on where you get your mortgage notes. They can pay let's say 7%. Well, a 7% backed by real estate, well, that's $70,000, almost $80,000 a year, right, coming in because you have mortgage notes rather than just sitting in your house. Because as soon as you put the $190,000 in your house, you earn a complete zero rate of return on the $190,000. So $190,000 is now earning nothing, no interest, no dividends, nothing. Completely illiquid. And you can't just grab the money back out of there. You have to get a loan or you have to sell the house. So I love that if you're in a position to pay off the house, great. That's excellent. But as you compare and as you're looking at investing in something else, keep in mind that $190,000 invested in mortgage notes would have more than taken care of the mortgage payment that might still be left on the house. And you would have the house and you would have the mortgage notes and some liquidity perhaps. Everybody's situation is different, and I very much look forward to the opportunity to talk to Scott. He and I are definitely going to we've already scheduled some time to talk about his specific situation. So the general answer is, love that you have the ability to pay off your house. Awesome. Is it the best thing for you to have done? Maybe. Could be. Kind of, sort of. Might have an opportunity to do something else with some other assets. Great. I really look forward to digging in, and thank you so much for the feedback, Scott. Now, let's jump in. Watch your step. I was listening to the radio on a trip to Home Depot this weekend. I was actually going to Home Depot to pick up some supplies to help my brother and sister-in-law move into their new house. And I'm kind of the de facto handyman in the family, so helping them hook up their dryer and a few other things. And on my way to Home Depot on a weekend, I can't help it. I'm flipping through the AM channels to see what kind of radio programs out there on the weekends. Sometimes they're financial, sometimes they're fishing shows, sometimes they're sporting and hunting. But this one happens to be, I turned on the radio and it happened to be a financial guy talking about financial stuff, and it really caught my attention. Now, beware. Please, it's not the first time I've heard this, but please watch out for this. Beware of, again, this is not a financial entertainer per se. He's definitely a financial advisor in the business, but probably not a certified financial planner. And his basic pitch was guaranteed places to hold your money. So he is immediately, bells go off in my mind. They are a guaranteed annuity shop, an indexed annuity shop. That's what they sell. They sell guaranteed annuities. Guaranteed, meaning they're not really investments. They're not in the stock market. They are life insurance-based guaranteed annuities. But one of the things that I immediately picked up on, right, was, okay, got it. He's definitely selling the idea of the fear that could come from crashes in the stock market. And I got all that. That's I guess that makes sense to get everybody woken up. But the part that really caught my attention is when he said that he's even got products that have a 10% bonus. 10% bonus? Wow. You mean I could give you $100,000 and I all of a sudden turns into $110,000? Sign me up for that. That's incredible. That's amazing. Everybody must want one of those, right? Okay, so watch your step, folks. I am, by the way, a big fan of guaranteed annuity. Big fan. I think guaranteed annuity is an excellent, excellent part of an overall retirement strategy, an overall retirement income plan, because guaranteed annuities have some really awesome income features. Very nice. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm a big fan of all guaranteed annuities. There are so many different guaranteed annuities on the market. The one that this guy's talking about are guaranteed annuities that offer an upfront signing bonus, basically. Like, yes, $100,000 goes in, and whammo, we're going to give you a $10,000 bonus, 10%. Well, let me give you some background, folks. Let me make sure you understand the system, understand these guaranteed annuity companies, okay? These are all big insurance companies, and they all swim in the same pool. There's no secret sauce to one insurance company magically being able to give a 10% bonus while this other company, loser over there, doesn't give you a 10% bonus. Here's the thing. they all operate on basically the same general account rate of return. It might run between 4.5% and 5.5%, let's say. So if that's the case, the general earnings of the company run in that 4, 5% or whatever, how in the world is one company going to give you a 10% bonus? Well, let me tell you, because they're also going to attach a bunch of restrictions, a bunch of limitations, pitfalls, penalties for early withdrawal. They're going to have all kinds of things tagged on there to help protect themselves as a company. So there is no such thing as a freebie 10% bonus. Doesn't exist. Don't get suckered into that. If you've ever been interested in guaranteed annuity, if you've ever thought of it or you've ever looked into it for how to secure a big part of your retirement income, your lifestyle needs, I'm a huge fan. I would love to sit down and chat with you about my take on guaranteed annuity. If you're in the middle of a sales pitch right now, someone's trying to sell you a 5% or a 10% bonus annuity, stop. Send me an email. Kraig with a K at kraigstrom.com. Kraig with a K at kraigstrom.com. Young folks out there, talk to your parents. They are getting pitched on guaranteed annuity and non-guaranteed annuity all the time. Definitely get them in touch with me so they can get my perspective. Huge fan of them, but there's just some of them, man, they just bug the heck out of me because I know the real secret behind them. I know how they work. And remember, insurance companies all swim in the same pool. There's no magic secret sauce to one company being able to whip out a 10% return. They are going to take it away from you somewhere else in that guaranteed annuity contract. Now, segment 2, I actually had done a recap of episode 136 and 137 on the last episode. And I promised to continue this because I had some really good, feedback and some listener comments that had come in, and I want to go through this. But this was the idea of comparing things like 15-year mortgages with 30-year mortgages and paying cash for real estate. That's where Scott's question or his comments and question had come from, was the last episode. So please, if you haven't listened to the last episode, definitely go do that. Listen to that episode. Listen to my take on 30-year mortgage versus 15-year mortgage, because I'll tell you right now, I tell you that Dave Ramsey and anybody who's pitching you, whether it's the banker, another financial planner, a certified public accountant, anybody who's pitching you on the idea that a 15-year mortgage is better, right? They say that you end up with more money because you pay off your house faster and then you start investing. That is not the right answer. It is not true. Mathematically, economically, it is not a viable direction. In fact, you can go through very simply and take a look at a 30-year mortgage and a 15-year mortgage. And in my example, I came out with nearly $400,000 more by using a 30-year mortgage. So let me continue this with some feedback, right? So I had some feedback from the previous episode that I've heard this many times. And this one comment was, one thing that I missed while listening was the difference in mortgage interest paid for the longer loan. Yes, 30-year mortgages have a longer interest cycle and you pay more interest. The interest paid on a 15-year mortgage is less than in the 30-year mortgage. Right? In my example, I had taken a $400,000 house. Now, those of you who are in suburban Kansas, a $400,000 house in Southern California is really a basic home. It's a very basic home nowadays. Things are redonkulously expensive here in Southern California. So in my example, I had taken a $400,000 house and looked at the various interest payments and so forth. And sure enough, you had interest that was a huge difference between the amount of interest paid on a 30-year mortgage and the amount of interest paid on a 15-year mortgage. Now, when you stop and you just say, well, there you go, we're done, right? We're done. That's it. Well, what you don't what people don't do, and what the Dave Ramseys and financial entertainers and CPAs and all these other people who don't look at all the details, is they don't look at the lost opportunity cost of investing the difference, right? The cost of your mortgage, let's say, is $2,800 on a 15, $1,900 on a 30. Well, what did you do with the savings? What did you do with that extra money that you save, that $900 a month, if you started investing the $900 a month difference in the mortgage payment? Whammo. That is when you start looking at the entirety of the question. Yeah, you pay more interest on one than the other. However, if you take the $900 savings between 30 and 15 and you start investing that right out the gate, the amount of money that you have in that compounded savings and investment account from the $900 difference far exceeds the difference in the interest expense. Absolutely. Good question, though. I mean, it really is, but the math doesn't lie. When you add it all up and you look at all the pieces of the equation, the math doesn't lie. You come out with more money with a 30-year mortgage in total than a 15. Now, another person also said this. They said, you, talking to me, right, Kraig, you didn't really do any research into Dave's actual teaching, right? Yeah, I do, by the way. And they go on to say, you took his advice out of context and did not accurately compare Dave's teaching to Kraig's teaching. Well, here's the thing. I listen to Dave Ramsey and financial entertainers more than most people do. More than most devotees listen to Dave Ramsey, I listen because he has the largest microphone. He's the biggest financial entertainer in the United States. I like to hear what he's saying because inevitably I'm going to meet some folks at my car show like I did a couple weeks ago who will quote Dave Ramsey because they've listened to something that they heard something at church or they heard something on his podcast. So I want to know what the guy's saying, right? And the idea that I didn't really do my research, yeah, I actually have more in-depth research on this than most people you know. But with that said, let me answer that, right? Dave Ramsey says, avoid 30-year mortgages in virtually every post I can find on his website, everywhere. But my favorite is when Dave contradicts himself. When Dave Ramsey contradicts himself. This is taken directly from his website. So there's an article on the website and it says a $288,000 mistake. Let's look at two homeowners with identity. This is actually, remember, taken directly from the website. Let's look at two homeowners with identical homes or incomes and 30-year mortgages. Sidebar. In the article, Dave doesn't recommend 30-year mortgages. Right there in black and white, Dave doesn't recommend 30-year mortgages, but that's what most homeowners have. So now, Jane, homeowner, makes her regular house payment and invests $500 a month. Jane invests $500 a month and makes her regular house payment, right? She does $500 a month towards retirement over the lifetime of her mortgage. By the time she retires, she could have nearly $2 million, right? Of course, if you do the math on that with $500 a month, that's using Dave Ramsey's mythical 11 and 12% rates of return that he quotes all the time. The article goes on to say, Joe, homeowner, decides to double up on his house 30-year mortgage payments. Basically starts paying his 30-year mortgage like a 15 instead of investing for retirement. He pays off his mortgage in 15 years, but he has zero retirement savings. To catch up with Jane, he'll have to invest $2,600 a month. Look at it another way. Jane will invest a total of $180,000 for retirement, but because she started early, compound growth does the heavy lifting. Joe must invest a total of $468,000 for the same outcome and $2 million nest egg and a paid-for home. Which bottom line looks better to you, right? This is why Dave says you should first invest 15% of your income for retirement before you work towards paying off your mortgage. Hear that at the end. You should invest 15% of your income before you work towards paying off your mortgage. But reading this article, right? So reading this article alone basically highlights what I explained earlier, which is a 15-year mortgage is not as good as a 30-year mortgage because you're able to invest the difference, the $900 a month. And yet this caller, this listener, says that I don't actually understand Dave Ramsey's teaching and compare Dave to Kraig's teaching. Well, if I just use Dave's own words right off his own website, he contradicts himself. Right there, you should be investing first before going to a 15-year mortgage. That's just simple math. It's just basic economics, right? Now, another listener comment said, to me, it sounded as though you were advocating for a new young couple to take out a $400,000 mortgage with no regard for personal income or budget limits. Now, in a podcast, I cannot give all the details, but here are some follow-up comments. The couple that I had referenced has income and savings enough to comfortably afford a 30-year mortgage on a $695,000 house. I changed the numbers because I have a national audience. Matter of fact, I have folks actually all the way in Poland listening to my podcast. I saw somebody in Poland had actually downloaded. But anyway, I changed the numbers from $695,000 to $400,000 because I have a national audience. And some people might just choke on the idea of a first home purchase worth $695,000. $695,000 is one of the least expensive homes in Southern California market where these folks that I referenced were going to be buying, right? Then they should rent, right? That's the idea, right? As Dave Ramsey, right, says, you got to rent until you can afford to pay cash or to buy or to get a 30-year fine, right? This idea that then they should rent sounds good until you realize that rentals in certain Southern California markets can cost over $3,000 a month for a basic 2 or 3 bedroom place. Yeah, that's right. That is a fact, that it could cost as much as $3,000 for a 2 or 3 bedroom place to live, even renting it. So back to the original point, that the couple that I referenced in my example about getting a mortgage, these folks actually have the ability to comfortably afford a $695,000 30-year mortgage. They do not have the financial means to comfortably afford a 15-year mortgage on a $695,000 house. So they're able to get into a home, which in the long run will be less expensive than renting because they're going to build equity and so on and so forth. Right? Another listener comment was this. They said, I think you missed the main idea behind Dave's instructions. I love this part. They go on to say, Dave Ramsey, admits over and over again that mathematically his steps may not be the best way. But if it was just about the math and humans were disciplined enough to follow the math perfectly, oh my gosh. That's where I stop. Listen to that. And that's one of my biggest complaints, is that this listener, this Dave Ramsey devotee, knows that Dave has admitted many times that his advice is mathematically not right. It's not the best way. And blah, 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 blah. And human beings are not disciplined enough to follow the math perfectly. Right? Here's the thing. He has the bully pulpit. He is the 3rd largest radio show in the United States. Fantastic. He should give his listeners a wake-up call. Tell them the truth. Tell them the mathematically best way to approach it. Tell them the way to get out of debt faster. None of this debt snowball crap. Tell them that you pay the highest interest rate first, not the lowest balance to make you feel better. You know, you have the bully pulpit. Teach the truth. Teach the right way to do it, right? Dave Ramsey's guidelines are a solid beginning. Really, fundamentally, really solid beginning to your financial life. But his math is wrong. His advice in many cases is extremely risky. It's sometimes just flat out, I would lose my job. As a certified financial planner professional, I would lose my job if I gave the advice that Dave Ramsey gives sometimes. And it goes for so many financial entertainers out there who have really no business whatsoever, aside from First Amendment freedom, to be giving out financial advice. Dave's math, the part that really bugs me, and his listeners so many times know it, Dave's math is wrong. But more importantly, it's dangerous advice. I'll close with this thought. You heard one of the examples earlier, taken from Dave Ramsey's own website. Someone paying aggressively on a 30-year mortgage to pay it down in 15 years, right? It's dangerous to be telling folks to get 15-year mortgages because you cannot pay a 15-year mortgage like a 30. You can't call the bank and say, hey, my wife lost her job or my kid got cancer. True story. Oh my gosh, a good friend of mine recently had found out that one of his young children, his daughter, has cancer. Oh my gosh, do you think that's going to disrupt his ability to comfortably earn a living? Do you think if he had a 15-year mortgage, the bank would totally understand and say, oh, no, don't worry, you can pay your mortgage like a 30-year mortgage? Heck no. The bank will say, no, we want your payment next month, right? And people end up moving every 7 years, right? And you wish that you did not have all of your cash tied up in your house earning a 0 rate of return. So again, Dave Ramsey's fundamental advice, solid, good, solid beginning. It's when we get into the details of more specific, advanced type of discussions where his math is wrong and the advice is dangerous. It's not good. If you're out there wondering whether or not you're on the right track, I am raising my hand here in my workshop in Southern California saying, hey, send me an email. Kraig at kraigstrom.com, Kraig with a K at kraigstrom.com. I would love to sit down and chat with you about this and go into more detail about your specific situation. I would totally welcome the opportunity. Now, remembering my New Year's resolutions, I want to make sure that everybody in my audience has had an opportunity for a free estate planning assessment. Making sure that you have your wills, your trusts, your powers of attorney, all of those things done. I'm a paralegal at a phenomenal law firm. I can help get that done. If you want to make sure that your property and your family, your children, your guardianships, and all of that stuff is done, let's get that thing done. Get your estate plan done, your estate, your trust, your wills, powers of attorney. I will help. Also, want to make sure that we've got your life insurance done and your disability insurance conversation. Send me an email, Kraig at kraigstrom.com, and we'll jump into your specific situation. Take action, folks. Get off that log. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. We took notes for you, so if you missed any part of the show, you can find a full transcript of each episode at personalpensionradio.com. Be sure to download your free retirement income crisis report at personalpensionradio.com. While you're at it, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening. Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.